I'm excited, actually. This is going to be a really good show. Hopefully sustain a nice show that people can get a lot of value from and get a lot of content and good information that can help them. And when I say help them, I mean the grassroots goalkeepers, people that we serve at the grassroots level. We're not with any club teams, college teams, pro teams. We have to build everything from the ground up. Everything is work, everything is merit. That's what makes our journey so beautiful. With that journey comes lots of challenges, lots of ideas, lots of opinions, lots of things that most other environments probably don't have to deal with, but we do. How do I get the message out to some of my parents who are learning for the first time, who are going through this maze, who are constantly being bombarded with new trends and new social media and new this, new that, the shiny object syndrome? How do I help them? This is how I'll help you. Stay tuned.
How you doing? This is Coach Gabe. Thanks for coming to the show. Today I'm going to be discussing a topic I believe is great because there's a lot of different goalkeepers out there with a lot of personalities. I want them to understand something. Your influence on a soccer team is enormous. And we're talking about very dedicated goalkeepers here because there's a lot of keepers out there that don't know maybe they're influencing their team. So I want you to understand how you influence your team and things and moments that create this influence on the team. Just to kind of give you some perspective, I've seen a lot of different environments where there's a team, they come together, maybe they're struggling a little bit, their goalkeeper, is strong, during moments where, there's goals being scored or moments of failure, like they've maintained a positive attitude, or at least they've maintained a strong attitude of building and camaraderie during those moments. Keeper is constantly training. A good dedicated keeper is training a lot. They're training not only with their team, but they're also training with a goalkeeper environment, no matter where that may be. Already, if you're doing double the work, you're already in a position where you're more vested on a team. So if you feel more vested about a particular soccer team, you would want to influence and impact that team more positively because you have a lot more riding on it. So if you're a coach out there who's listening to this, understand your goalkeeper has a lot of influence with players. They have a lot of influence, especially if they're well loved, and respected. They could be respected because they play well and they do their job. But if they're also respected and loved, oh goodness, you have a goalkeeper who can help you win the hearts and minds of your team. I've seen it. So yeah, absolutely. I want you to understand there's a difference in that, because they're very well vested. One way a goalkeeper can have a huge impact and influence on their team is with their vocality, the way they are as a leader and the way they communicate, right? So they're constantly giving orders, they're constantly giving direction, they're constantly giving feedback, positive praise, moments of criticism in the right time. That's one way they can create that influence with their team. Another way they can have an influence with their team is in the way they perform and the way they play. When their teammates are confident that their goalkeepers can make particular saves and they see it in ways, this creates a feeling of reassurance. This creates a feeling of confidence. This allows the players in front of the goalkeeper to play much more in control and much more fluid. So that is absolutely, your performance helps your team with the way they play in front of you. Another way that goalkeepers can have influence is with their defensive unit directly. If you guys are not in unison and you're not, cohesive, then it's going to impact the game negatively. You guys aren't communicating the right way. You're not talking to each other directly. You're not trusting each other's movement. If I say this and they do that, then it becomes a big problem, right? We want to make sure that those problems are minimal. A good goalkeeper is aware of the communication she gives to their players and is aware when and not to say something to somebody during times. There's an admiration between the two defensive units and the goalkeeper because they do the same job. The goalkeeper is a defender with gloves, and a defender is a goalkeeper without gloves. They do the same job. They are defending the net. And so, there is that camaraderie. A good goalkeeper who is positive in moments of down moments and who maintains a good attitude, they can bring about a positive change, down moment. Hey guys, get up off the field. Let's get back up the field. Let's move it. Let's keep it going. You know, they become the leaders in those moments, in the down moments. And I mean, you can't replicate that. That's very difficult to replicate. I've seen it with some of our coaches who are absolute leaders when it comes to these type of moments. These are the type of goalkeepers you want around, because when things get hectic, goals get scored, they still maintain a positive attitude and they still try to uplift everybody on the way, on the way up. Another way that you can create influence on your team is by leading by example. Are you showing up on time? Are you asking people to do what you do? Are you doing your runs correctly? Are you doing things urgently? Are you that type of person? How do you create the impact and the influence on your team? How do you create the chemistry to be amazing on your team? How do you do that? Are you leading? Off the field, here's another way for goalkeepers to create the influence, right? Some moments, sometimes where a player is, not feeling well, or certain things, or they're not, there's a lapse in communication, maybe with another player. Off the field, a good goalkeeper is like, hey, what's up? And I can see that there's something happening here. How can I help you? I could be an ear to you. What do you need? This is a way you can influence your team positively, and kind of close gaps that have been opened. This is a perfect example of a good influential moment where you can give good positive feedback. And especially if they trust you, they'll tell you the dynamic on the field. Here's a good way for you to influence your team. If you have a brand new player on your team and they're having a tough time adapting, take them under your wing, keepers. Make sure they become a friend to you. And then hopefully they can become friends to other people on your team. It sounds so basic, but it's not. As we get older, we start to get kind of closed off in our little identity of what we are and what we become, that we forget that other people around us, want to try to help us win games. And sometimes when they're brand new, it's hard for them to open up. So you having an impact on your team is helping a new player transition onto your team and get good. Get confident with your team. This is a humongous moment of opportunity to influence your team greatly. And let me just say this too, as a coach, if you are seeing a goalkeeper that's doing all of these little things and details, very rare. It's happening more, but it's very rare if you have one of those. Because if that goalkeeper is doing all these things, they're very well loved. They're very well respected on the team. And they want to, we want to make sure we're not catering to them, because it's not good to cater to people, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they, they're givers. So we got to make sure that, people are giving, their needs are met as well during times as well, because they're mostly out for giving and helping the team as opposed to tending to their own things at times. And you will do a service to them as well by maintaining their mental attitude and a high spirit and a high regard. Another way we can influence our team in a very positive manner is to create some kind of tradition or some kind of ritual. Usually people have handshakes or a particular dance they do during a celebration, or a particular thing that they do when they make a PK save or they have a shutout. Some kind of a ritual that symbolizes a success, a moment of victory, a moment of camaraderie and coming together. Right? I would highly recommend that becomes a thing, because now we could all kind of get around it together. You guys see Ronaldo when he scores a goal, how he does his little see moments, right? You want to see those kind of things. Goalkeepers can do those things as well when they make amazing things happen. But you got to be creative. You got to be bold. Don't be afraid. Make it happen. Get people around it. Create the impact of your moments, because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And like I said earlier, coaches, if you have a goalkeeper that is doing all these things, cherish that keeper. That keeper is very, very valuable. They're a positive force for your team. I've seen goalkeepers who've done all these type of things were very undervalued, and when they left, a big chunk of the core of the team left with them. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. That's happened. That is a thing. And, for whatever reasons, whether, it was on to greener and greater pastures, or maybe they weren't feeling they were being valued as much. But a highly influential goalkeeper who's respected and loved, and their performance is there to back all these things, they're very rare. They're very rare. So make sure we value them and make sure that their needs are tended to as well. With that being said, I just wish for all our goalkeepers to fully realize themselves and their potential. I wish for coaches to realize when their keepers are making moments like this happen, that is not just only technical and tactical, but it's the stuff off the field. It's the stuff that makes a team great. I wish they understood and realized those moments, because it's not so visible. It's not so highlight oriented, right? It's subtle things and it's very observant. Goalkeepers are very in tune and very observant when it comes to subtle things. So hopefully this shines some light on that. Have a good day. Coach Gabe, I'm out.